And then the last thing, Matt has prepared a really beautiful guided meditation. He actually walked the whole team through it earlier today. I feel shifted. It was beautiful. We all loved it.
Gave a little taste.
Yeah, a little taste of it. So I'm super excited to get into that last with you guys, where you can actually start applying some of this information and just tapping into these energy centers. Because I think when you have more information, you can start, it's like meeting a friend. Like if I meet someone and I'm like, Carly. Hey, Carly, I know your name. Okay, she's wearing scrubs. We've had conversations now. And I start to get to know Carly. The more I know about Carly, the more this actually sticks in my subconscious. So next time, whenever I go to talk to Carly, I don't have to say, hey, Carly, what's your husband's name again? I already know. And that's essentially what we're going to be doing, guys, is just giving you information for your back pocket. Whether it comes up today, tomorrow, next year, whatever it might be, this is going to be within you and usually holds within the subconscious.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's go to the first part. So I just want to share something real quick. Full credit to Erica for making 97% of this. The other 3% was Monica making it beautiful. I did nothing. I was just like, you figure out how we want to do it, and we'll just do it. And it's just funny, just because I know we can just kind of flow with it. I added a few things.
That's how much trust we have with each other too.
Totally. And like she puts all this stuff on there, and I go like, all right, where are you going with this? And she said something along the lines of talking about how everything in the universe is connected and the fractal of the universe is in everyone's eye, and went all esoteric out there. I was like, awesome. Let's bring it back in though on what's applicable. This is why me and Erica are a great team. And she said it like 1,000,000 miles per hour, by the way. I'm like, say that, maybe different, but also slowly as well.
That is what we're going to be getting into essentially.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna let you dive into this in a second. But when it comes to everything is energy, you guys have heard this before from us 100 times, but I still want to say it again because it's the most important fundamental understanding of this. We have this physical chair, physical body, physical floor, physical table, physical TV, physical leaves. Everything, when broken down to most fundamental forms, is a bunch of subatomic particles, as beautiful Pam is sharing, vibrating, right? Vibrating at a certain frequency and tone. Human beings vibrate at a certain frequency and tone. A abundant, conscious, loving human being operates and vibrates at a different frequency than someone who is completely disconnected. Maybe they're on drugs, medications, maybe they aren't mentally, emotionally stable. Yeah, everyone vibrates at a different frequency. Love, gratitude, joy vibrate differently than hate, anger, and pain. Our nervous system is the medium of our external world and our internal self. And if every person, place, thing, and experience, if it can be broken down into a vibrational frequency, that experience with mom, that experience with dad, brothers and sisters saying certain things, certain foods, is a frequency coming into your nervous system, and your perceptual lens, your personal reality, is then perceiving that information through its medium. Just like for other of you that have been the breathworks, that I do a tuning fork at the end of it, and it kind of startles you guys a little bit. There's a 512 hertz. Our ears can hear that, but there's certain frequencies that if I hit it, you guys wouldn't hear anything, but maybe a dog would hear, right? Because it's a different frequency that their nervous system can actually perceive. The color chart, frequencies of different colors, it's all the same thing, but it's just vibrating at a specific level. People that are colorblind have an issue with their perceptual system and their optic nerve to not be able to take that in. So everything in this universe is a bunch of energy, frequency, and tone, and we talk about it all the time. The experiences that we process well, they come into our body. That love, that gratitude, the things that give us joy, enthusiasm. And what we do, we add that to our subatomic matrix. We increase the frequency within ourselves. We grow as a person, right? When we grow, how do we feel? Little chest is a little out, right? Stand a little bit taller. We're maybe shimmying a little bit, right, Sharon? A little smile on there, right? Yeah. We adapt, evolve as a human being, and we take a step forward in our evolution, and we just release more light from our system, and we're happy, more whole. But why a lot of people, as Lars was saying, come in here through reactivity is because we have a lot of those vibrational experiences that are a little more challenging. They're experiences in the moment that are outside of our capacity. But if we want a stronger heart, we want stronger muscles, what do we have to do? We have to stress it, right? So it's stress inherently is not bad. But for some reason, that energy that's coming in can't quite process through. And this could be a tough conversation that maybe you're just still kind of inkling over. Maybe your kids are acting up and it caused a reaction with your system. Maybe back in the day, something happened traumatic to you when you were 5, 10, 15 years old. And remember, we share nervous system and the energetics within that system don't know the difference between right here, right now, 5 minutes ago, 25 minutes ago, or 25 years ago, or anywhere in between. So the vibration of that experience lays dormant within our system. And this is why it's good, both good and bad. You know, your thoughts and your reality can be good and bad. Grandma's cake, that smell, right? The emotions that are elicited to it. You walk by a bakery, does anyone experience like smelling it and you get taken back to, and this is an analogy, you not all know what I mean, but you get taken back to when you were 5 years old, or some butterscotch candy or whatever it may be. If someone does something to you, says something to you, and it triggers an old experience, whether you're conscious of it or not, because again, 95% is all subconscious, comes in through the medium of our nervous system. 250 miles per hour, this nervous system communicates, brings up some dormant energy, some dormant frequencies. And what do? We say, Erica, screw you. We get upset. We get upset. We have pain. We have a reaction. We are reactive within our system. And so at the end of the day, you know, the fundamental core of what we talk about here, whether it's with our hands-on work or for you yourself and going deep within yourself, is just to realize that everything is a vibrational opportunity, a vibrational experience that we can either grow or adapt to. And even when it's outside of our capacity, I have to believe there's a reason why it happened. There's some future growth that is waiting for you on the other end of it. And that's really, well, hopefully, I shared that part. I wanted to do the applicable. Now she's going to talk about the fractals of your universe in your.
Yeah, here we go. I like to think of what Matt just said in very simply one sentence, musically. Like, I am a symphony, I am an orchestra of all the experiences, all the things that have ever happened in my life have assimilated some way so that whenever I use my voice, whenever I use my heart, whenever I connect with people, it's my own unique orchestra. It's like this cocktail of hormones, essentially. And when someone else comes into your life, an experience that's stressful, a person, whatever it might be, that instrument now becomes a part of your orchestra. And sometimes that orchestra is playing a trombone and you are completely doing like something different, and that is really throwing off this whole entire symphony. Or maybe we start to adapt to that and we start to add more music to our arsenal so that we can start taking these experiences and adding complexity to our symphony. So I have said that to probably, like 90% of people I've chatted with, at least in the consult rooms. And I've been doing this for about 5 years. One person has said to me, that is extremely chaotic. And I was like, I love that you said that. And it's actually the most organized thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And I think I need to talk about how the universe creates a little bit. And again, I don't have all the answers, but just what is seen in nature and what science is showing. I have these images here, and I did have a ton more. Monica definitely trimmed me down, thank God, for this too.
You got 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. But if you guys were to look, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the pictures of like, they'll show like rivers flowing and then like the veins in your arm, or like trees, and they'll connect nature's blueprint essentially of how nature was created to basically everything in your body. You can look at your eye, like the colors in your eye, very similar to stars. And they show things like this pine cone, the way that it spirals is extremely similar to the way that a cosmo rotates as well. Or the way that nature starts unfolding is what I heard has a thing to follow. It has a blueprint. It's following by some kind of code. The same way that nature does this, our body does this. So I have this other drawing here too, because we have these centers. We have these 7 centers, like we said, but how and why are they there? How did they form? Why were they created? And I think our body is extremely smart. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but what was created? Whenever I showed this to Matt too, I said, I have a finger and you have a finger. They are completely different sizes, but within each of our fingers, within each of these 3 joints, there is actually an equal, like literally to the degree, equal proportion that all these things were created with. You can literally break down our entire body and you will find this exact ratio, the same ratio that created this, I'm drawing a blank on that word right now, that seashell? Seashell. But it's this,
what
was it?
Nautilus.
There we go. But it's the same exact blueprint that nature was created with that our bodies actually are created with. That absolutely blew my mind, and it really should not have, because we are nature. We are nature, we are natural beings, and the way we move through things is very similar to the rest of nature. So all creation follows a pattern. And you can get really nutty with it and break it down almost into like zeros and ones. For us, the way we learn the body, the way we learn nature, it was by geometry. And the way that you look at me right now, like if I were to sit up straight, like there is a triangle here and then another triangle. And there are essentially all this geometry throughout our body that is in exact proportion, exact resonance with my energy system. And Matt has his own. And essentially, the energy outside of our body is what controls or creates that blueprint. So all we're going to be teaching you guys tonight is why did these things form this way? How do they move a little bit more efficiently? When stress happens, what happens to our energy system?
And absolutely.
So you're talking about energy. Now, are some energies or is sometimes energy just vanished or is it just simply reprocessed?
I love that. And Sharon, great question. There is actually a law, and we're going to get into that as well, in thermodynamics that says energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be.
It's the first law too. It's like the number one right
So
there.
energy cannot be created or destroyed, and it's essentially the energy from, and I'll get into this. The egg of your mother had an insane energy. It attracted a sperm cell. When those two things came together, a bunch of light photons went off inside your mom that have created you to be who you are today. That energy, that it's ATP when it's broken down, essentially lives within us and it starts specializing into different things. So it starts creating, but it's all from this one origin, is what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense? Okay.
And that right there, energy cannot be created or destroyed, is the exact reason when anyone says, I have this pain, I have this problem with emotions, whatever it is, and they say, I just want to get rid of it. Maybe you have said something along the way there. And depending on where people are at, I'll very gently say, well, there is really no getting rid of. You can't get rid of any energy. You can either not process it and it stores in the back pocket, or you can integrate it, become whole with it, and let it transmutate, transform into that next phase as well. So there really is no getting rid of anything, and those experiences happen for a reason. And before we go on, I just want to share my piece on this stuff. Like, everyone, has anyone heard of Fibonacci or the Fibonacci sequence, right? The golden ratio, 1.618. Anybody not ever hear of that? And it's okay if you haven't. Okay, so perfect, awesome. So does anyone know Fibonacci's first name? It's like an Italian name. I can't remember.
I don't know.
Let's call him. Do you remember? Oh, well, tonight let's call him Antonio Fibonacci. Let's call him that. So Fibonacci, mathematician, he found this sequence, a very simple sequence. 1 + 1 = 2. 1 + 2 = 3. 2 + 3 = 5. 3 + 5 = 8.
Yeah, you're right.
5 + 8 = 13. So on and so on. Those two numbers equal a certain number, and you keep adding the previous number. So when you think about it, it's not necessarily like anything special. It's just a mathematical sequence, right? We all kind of understand that. If I wrote it down, you guys would be able to see it much easier. But there are these numbers that line up a certain way. But what's crazy about that mathematical formula is exactly how these spirals in the acorn and the galaxy in a flower, they replicate. And what we found is that, in a flower, in a rose, the first rim is 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 5, and then 8. And those things are seen in a sunflower seed. Those things are seen in our DNA matrix of how it actually formulates in that double helix form. So it's found in our body. It's found in all sorts of things in nature. And so like when you think about it, like, okay, what's the big deal when it comes to that? But remember, all these experiences are that as well. And I'll share something with you that I feel like could maybe like help you guys understand like this geometry and all these numbers and like what it actually means and like why is it even important. So it's in nature, it's in people, it's in all sorts of things, but it's also in human behavior. And what is human behavior? All of our personalities. So a couple years ago, not to get into too much detail, I got into like trading in crypto and trading on the stock market, and I learned about charting, and I learned about these things called Fibonacci's on there. This is what introduced me on there. And so Lars, you may know, right? How crazy does a number on a Google or Amazon or a Bitcoin, how often does it hit what is called this Fibonacci number and then either stop and come right down, or it hits it and then goes up in like this point area, this 1.618, this 4.23, these Fibonacci numbers correlate to that. And what I realized through that is like, oh my gosh, human behavior is like even affected by these numbers, affected by this energy. It's like, it's hard to explain in a short 30 seconds, but once I saw that, I'm like, are we living in a simulation? Are we living in a simulation? And you know what? I don't know, guys. I don't know that answer. But it's just crazy to see how every person, place, thing, experience, and then the collective group of like millions of people investing into Google, how at a certain point in time, it says no more, and it needs to calm down and come down instead of continuing to go up. And that's just what's the insane part about it.
And that you guys that do know, Matt and I are like best friends. So as he's on his crypto journey, I'm learning astrology several years ago, and I'm talking to Matt about Fibonacci and nature, and he's talking to me about Fibonacci and crypto, and I'm like, I bet all these things are actually the same.
It's crazy.
And really why we're sharing this with you guys, because I think it's important to know that there's some kind of like organization or code to this. And why is there an organization or a code? But essentially, the reason why nature does this is that so energy can move and replicate efficiently. It has to follow some kind of blueprint. It has to follow some kind of pattern. And when we start talking about the body, there is a certain pattern that happens. There are certain ways that we hold anger. There are certain ways that we hold sadness in our body. And if we really break that down to science, we can see exactly why, exactly where, and exactly how. Well, maybe not how, because it's so complicated, and I don't know if anybody has technology for that, but what we're trying to tell you guys is that your body is actually designed to thrive. It's designed to be efficient. It's designed to move through hurdles, obstacles, trials, and tribulations, and I think it's no coincidence that our nervous system, the thing where all this accumulates, the thing where all this is created, is also our perception system. So not only do I perceive my own experience, but how do I perceive my interactions with other people? How do I perceive the world around me? Because they're simply all connected, and energy is literally meant to flow efficiently.